Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite bullet journal supplies. I'm going to start with basic supplies and then I'll move into the more advanced tools that I like to use. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. We're going to start with the most basic of bullet journal supplies that you will need, and that is a journal or a notebook and a pen. It doesn't have to be dot grid, it doesn't have to be lined, just whatever you need. I am busy doing a bullet journal review series that I will link up in the cards for you, and you can go check that out. But my personal favorite to use is the Archer & Olive A5 size notebook. Now, it's thicker paper, which is not for everybody, but I know that I enjoy that I can work with it and not have any mishaps like ghosting or bleed through or anything like that. I am an affiliate for them, and so in the description you will find my affiliate link and my code for 10% off. But that's not to say I only like the product because I'm an affiliate. No, I want to become an affiliate because I love the product so much. It is a higher end, luxury priced bullet journal for sure, but you get what you pay for. The paper is it just sits different than other 160 GSM papers I've tried. So therefore, that is why it's my favorite. My favorite pens to use are the Tombow Mono drawing pens. They come in a variety of sizes, and I love having the various options and the different options. And the reason why I like them is they don't fade when you erase over the top of them. I'm a pencil first bullet journaler, and so I need to go in and erase the pencil when I'm done. I find that with other pen brands, sometimes it'll fade, it'll smudge, but with the Tombows, they don't fade at all, which I really love. The last item I wanted to talk about as a bullet journal basic item is the Secure White Jelly Roll. Now, if you're working in bright white paper, this is a lifesaver. Even if you're in the ivory and you use just a little bit, it's not going to be a problem, but on the bright white for sure, it's absolute lifesaver. I find that whiteout will stick out or it'll scratch up when you write over top of it, but with a white jelly roll, it does a better job of masking it. So that is what I'd consider to be my other essential item. But now we'll move on to the more, I'm going to say, intermediate stuff. So next up, I'm going to talk about markers, pencils, and something else I consider to be intermediate, which is washi tape. So my favorite markers to use are the Tombow dual brush pens. And when I don't have a color to match my theme, I will definitely rely on the Crayola Super Tips. At the end of the day, that's all you need. So those are the two different price ranges. You can get Tombow dual brush pens on sale a lot, so definitely watch out for those. But for an everyday go-to, Crayola is going to be your best bet. And they're the Super Tips specifically because those will allow you to do calligraphy as well because they do the thin strokes and the broad strokes as well. Next is my favorite pencil brand to use, which is the Prismacolor Premier branded pencil crayons. Now, not the super high-end range. This is more the low to mid-range that I like. Again, you can get them on sale. Michael's, Groupon. I think I got mine off of Groupon. They just have a great color variety. I find that they're easier to sharpen. So one of my pet peeves is when you're sharpening a pencil and it keeps breaking. So yes, you want to use as basic a sharpener as possible. And also I find these guys don't break as much. That's why I like them. And so if you're going to get colored pencils, whether they be the Prismacolor or Crayola, it doesn't matter. Get a blender pencil. My favorite thing to use when using pencil crayons is a blender pencil. It smooths out the color lines so well and it ends up looking fantastic. So as I mentioned, I'm counting washi as a more intermediate supply tool. You don't need it to bullet journal. It's nice to have though, just to add those pops of colors. I love basic washi and then the more geometric washi, so the stripes and the circles and the dots and the grids, so those tend to be my favorite. I get mine from everywhere, the washi shop. I've designed my own line that I'll link down below as well. And again, just basic and even the solid colors I really do prefer. Now, the next item falls in between intermediate and advanced for me, and that is stickers. Stickers are super fun to use in your bullet journal. You look at some people out there that use stickers consistently, and sticker placement is an art for sure. I even struggle with that. And that's why it rolls more into the advanced in some cases. But my favorite stickers to use, obviously I design my own and I'll use my own consistently. But I also like getting stickers from Tipsy Dog Designs, Coffee Monsters Co., Let's Planet. They're all small businesses. They're all busting their butts and they make fun stuff. I prefer neutral stickers, and so that's why I will gravitate towards them. One of my other favorite sticker companies that I wish I used, but I do love their product, is River and Ink. So you can check them out as well if you like brighter, more fun items. But like I said, I tend towards the more neutral, monochromatic, can be used for anything and everything, so more functional as well. Now we're going to talk the intermediate bullet journal supplies that I love using. Number one that I absolutely love are stamps. And the reason why I say they're advanced is because A, you really don't need them to bullet journal. And B, it does take some practice to get used to color saturation and making sure your image doesn't smudge or go on half imprinted. But I love stamps. The lettered alphabets are my favorite. I use those the most because they're the most versatile. The next thing I love using are the Ranger Distress Inks. When I used to do my hardcore creative bullet journal layouts, I would consistently use the Distress Inks to color in my backgrounds. They're fun to use, they're easy to use, and the colors are just fantastic. Yes, you get an arm workout when you blend that background, but they're a lot of fun to use. I also like to use the Art Philosophy watercolor pans. They might not be the greatest quality out there, but for the little bit of watercolor that I do find the price point works for me. The colors are easy to mix when you need to. And yeah, it's just compact and you don't have to worry about too much cleanup, which is great when you're just working on a small surface area like a bullet journal. My other favorite pens to use are the Archer & Olive acrylographs. I love how versatile they are. I use them for coloring, I use them for lettering, and they just create so much dimension within a bullet journal, which you can't really do. You can do on a separate piece of paper, obviously, but within a bullet journal, you're very limited in dimension and texture. And I love the acrylographs because they create that dimension and texture without causing your bullet journal to become bumpy. At least in the 160 GSM pages, they don't. So I do truly love them. The last item I'm going to talk about are stencils. Stencils can be a basic or an intermediate supply for sure because they can cut down time on creating your layouts. The stencils I'm talking about are the more decorative stencils. So the Stampers Anonymous, the Diane Revy, all of those guys. And so I used to use them in a lot of my creative journaling as well. And I'm actually looking at going back to using them more because they are super fun to incorporate into a bullet journal layout. Those are my favorite supplies to use and some of my favorite companies to use. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will be setting this up as a blog post. You can go back and reference it as well. Currently, as of this video, the affiliate link is the Archer & Olive, but I have purchased all of these supplies out of my own pocket. This isn't sponsored. This is just truly my favorite items and stores and products. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If there's any product that you like and that you think I will like, leave it down in the comments below and I will check it out. But thank you for watching today.